Okay, so we're going to be starting with more complex video and image editing software. Now, we've been using basic Google software up till now, but we're going to go ahead and start switching to pixlr.com. Now, this is just a very basic photo editing program. Now, specifically, we're going to be using Pixlr E. This is the editing program. Now, there is an X version. This one is an Express. It just kind of goes through the very, very basics, but it doesn't really give you a whole lot of specific tools. I'm going to go ahead and show you the difference. If I go to Pixlr X and you open it, I'm going to go ahead and just click this one so you can see. It has some of the tools here, but it doesn't allow you to do a whole lot. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move my little face up to the top corner. Now, when you're working on your image, when you're working on your artwork, if I say, for example, want to remove the background, I can do that. The problem with Pixlr X is that you don't have a lot of the specific tools. Like, for example, if I wanted to fill the background with a specific color, that's not an option here. Now, if you go to Pixlr E, when you first start up into the program, it should take you to this site when you follow my link from Google Classroom. Now, specifically what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to select a black and white image. You can choose a color image and make it black and white if you want, but I will be able to tell the difference on what you're going to be doing. So specifically what I want you to do is I want you to select an image. I'm going to start with this one just so I can show you a couple of the tools. We're going to go through the very basics right now just to go ahead and start coloring and utilizing a couple of the smaller details. Now over here on the right hand side, you can see the layering. So on the right hand side over here, you have the layering tools. On the left hand side, you have the specific tools that you can use to create lots of different effects. Now, each specific one of these does a specific job. If I hover over the image or the icon, it'll tell you exactly what each one is going to do. Now, we're going to work our way through here, and I'm going to show you how to do different things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a second layer. I'm going to go ahead and click the little plus sign right here, click empty, and pull this down behind. I'm going to unlock this one. Right click, or click the little arrow. Okay, so right click right here on the little lock sign, unlock. Now, since you're using your Chromebook, you might have to double click with both fingers. Okay, that's going to allow you to move a layer underneath your image. This is very important. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to crop your image. So that's this little shape right here. This little shape right here that says crop. Okay, this section puts these lines on the side and will allow you to make your image and select only a small portion to work with for your art piece. So this removes all those extra bits so that you're not having to work with them, you're not having to worry about them, and it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. When you click enter, it deletes everything else. Now, in this particular case, because the background layer is a little bit bigger than the original, I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer again, move it down behind it. Now, let's go ahead and move on to some of the other tools. So we just covered cropping, which is making the image smaller and focusing in. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to select your layer. You're going to right click, and you're going to go over here to where it says blend mode. You're going to click multiply. Now, this is very important. If you click multiply, what this is doing is it's making it so that everything you do on the layers underneath is going to show up through the picture. So this is one of my drawings, not just something I found online. So it's going to show up through the picture. So what you can click over here now is you can click the draw tool, you can click the fill bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and click the fill bucket just so you can see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and select, let's go with a neon green, and I'm going to click fill. Remember that I'm on the bottom layer. I make sure to select the bottom layer, and you can rename the layer if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and select the bottom layer and see how it filled the entire thing. Now, at this point, so this is the fill bucket right here, you can use the eraser to erase areas around just your object if you'd like. Or you can use other tools. So right now, that fill bucket filled that entire space with one color. So let's say you don't want to fill the entire space. You want to fill only part of the space. So one thing you can do, you can click here. This is the lasso, and this is the wand select. This one will go ahead and allow you to select your objects. Make sure you select the right layer. Okay, so this is selecting the background color. If I click the actual object and I hold the shift button down, it'll allow me to add different sections and only color those sections in with the wand, with the color. So for example, I want to color in these dark areas. I select that bottom layer. Okay, I'm going to select fill. And now it only filled in that section with the color. So now if I wanted to, I could add another layer to the bottom, underneath, and add a different color. Let's say I want to do blue. Obviously, it's not going to look great with the two different colors like that, but that's just an option. So because of the fact that it is on top, you can't really see. So make sure that your layer that you're working with is on top of those layers. Now it's a darker blue, so it turns into this sort of color right here. So let's try and fix it, choose a different color. So one thing you can do is, again, you can move your layer down, and there's arrows right here that you can move it up and down. Okay, you can choose a different color. So let's maybe choose a brighter, more pastel-y type of green and try it that way. So now I've selected the bottom layer, selected a pastel green, and now it looks a lot more shaded and more detailed. So when you're seeing this section right here, what's happening with this control button is, what's happening here is when I select control, it tells me what color I'm looking at. So I can select whatever color is on the screen. Now, that's only if you want to select the color. So let's go ahead and move on. So let's undo these. So I don't want to do these anymore, not with that color. And I just want to freehand those colors now. Okay. So one thing you can do, you can click right here, zoom in as far as you want. So if you're having difficulties coloring your picture, you can go ahead and just select the regular paintbrush, select the color you want to use. So let's say I want to use blue. And you can just use the paintbrush on the layer. Just make sure you're sticking to the layer underneath. So you can just free draw, free color, and you can zoom in and it'll allow you to color without losing any of the shading of the original picture. So that's what you're going to be doing. You are going to be doing a recolor of a black and white picture. Now I expect to see more than two colors. I'm going to expect you to be coloring inside the lines. I don't expect it to be perfect, but using these few little tools, it should allow you to be able to create a completed image. So let's say you're zoomed in, you can zoom out, back in, and color only specific areas different colors. So let's say I don't want the inside of the mouth to be that color. I want it to be red. Red is good. So now I can just select a different color, and you can even do different layers for different colors. How you decide to do that is up to you. I'm not going to tell you which colors to use for what layers of what picture. No, you do not have to use this dinosaur picture. It is one of my drawings. I chose it specifically because it's not online. Now, you could use any photograph, any image that you want to use. You could use any colors. It does not have to be realistic. We will cover some of the more detailed, the more complex tools in coloring a little bit later. Remember to focus on your eraser, focus on your coloring, make sure your colors match the areas that you're trying to accomplish. So for what you need to be practicing with today, eraser, draw, fill, gradients, and you need to be making sure you know how to use crop and how to create layers and multiply. Now, that is all you need to accomplish for today's assignment. You don't have to be finished with the photo editing today, but I do want to see some progress. So if you turn in something that's like this, where you have maybe certain areas that are filled in, but not the entire thing, that's fine. But I do need to have you figuring out how to do certain details of it. I want you to make as much progress as you can today because we want to make sure to have everything ready by the end of the week. And let's see how far you can get. Hopefully, you guys get really, really good with this and you'll be able to do all sorts of neat things. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.